Hello, what is going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. And today I wanted to come on here and talk about what branding is and why it matters. So if you've signed up for the free email course where I'm going through everything, talking about what branding is all about, how to use branding in your business, all the different things that you need to have in place in your own brands. If you signed up, welcome. If you haven't signed up, you can go ahead and do that by going to fabipaolini.com/course and sign up for the free 7-day mini course. It's going to go over starting today until Sunday, until Saturday really. And then the last day is going to be on Wednesday of next week where I'm going to be doing an incredible masterclass and I'm going to bring it all together. So it's going to be a ton of fun. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Fabi Paolini, brand strategy coach and online business coach. And I help entrepreneurs, coaches, service providers feel and position themselves as total authorities online, be able to build premium brands that attract, and be able to captivate their ideal audience through incredible marketing strategies that work. And today I want to talk to you guys a little bit around what branding is all about. Hopefully this is going to be super helpful for you. So let's talk about branding. Let's talk about what branding is and why it really matters. So branding essentially is truly not the typical thing that most people think that it is. So usually when we hear branding, people immediately go to the visual brand, right? They think, oh, okay, when I talk about working on my branding, they think, well, I'm working on my logo, I'm working on my design, I'm working on my colors, on the look of my website, on like my Canva graphics, my social media graphics. That is what branding is to me. And the truth is that is one part of your brand. But when we talk about your brand, really there's so much more than just the visuals, right? It is one part of it, but it really is almost like a small part of it. I don't know what happened throughout time, through pop culture or whatever. I don't know what happened where people immediately heard the word brand and they thought just of the visual brand and they didn't know that there was a lot more than just the visual brand involved. So really branding, when we talk about branding, is about how people think, feel, and act around you. Like what are the perceptions that they have around who you really are, right? What they really think, what they feel, and just kind of like, again, that perception. And obviously we can't completely control the perception because you're not in the minds of your audience and telling them, okay, this is the way to go, this is the way that everything goes. But you want to try to do as much as you possibly can to be able to, move them in one direction or move them in another direction so that they can actually follow your lead in what you're trying to say. So when we look at branding, it really always comes down to perception. And if you are thinking that when we're talking about branding, it really is only about the visual branding and worrying a lot about making the perfect logo or the perfect website, all these things, it's important, absolutely, but it's just like I was saying a moment ago, one very small part of it. What you really need to take care of the most is your message. And when I talk about your message, and we'll get into all of these different things and we'll, as the days go on, when I talk about your message, it's really about like what your outcome is about. What is in your heart? What is the thing that you're trying to say that really makes you different than everybody else, right? So those are kind of some of the things that are part of branding that are really fundamental. I want to really make sure that when we're talking about branding, we're bringing all these things together. Now, the reason why this is fundamental is that we live in a world where we are bombarded, right? Literally bombarded, especially like in what has happened, I would say, in the last maybe 5 years of online business and the world in general, right? With like social media and all of these different things going on, and like where everybody has access to information globally. I mean, literally, I've had clients. I live in Miami, and I've had clients in New Zealand, in Saudi Arabia, in Europe, in South America, like all over the world. And that just means that the competition is that we have, no matter what you're doing, is really globalized, unless it's like a very localized business. Obviously, like that is a case where it might be local, but still there's so many people, there's so much competition, there's so much noise, there's so much distraction on social media, so many different things to look at, that we really need to make sure that our brands are really on point and really straight on, like, this is who I am, This is what I'm doing in order for us to make sure that people pay attention and people buy from us, right? Because the answer is never going to be quit. The answer isn't, well, you know what? There are so many wedding planners like Chelsea that I'm just going to quit. Or there's so many Enneagram coaches that I'm going to quit like Sarwa, right? That's not the answer. The answer is getting better and better and better at your message so that you can make sure, I'm going to do a little wave here, so that you can make sure that people turn around and really pay attention to you, because even if there's a lot of competition, if there's a lot of people doing the same thing that you're doing, you're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you have your own voice, your own story, your own thing, like all these things that make you who you are. So when we look at branding, we want to make sure that those differences come through so that people can see us, they can resonate with who we are and say, this is the person that I want to work with. This is the person that's going to solve my problem. So the way that I look at branding, and if you got the email today for the free email course, or if you know me and if you followed me for a while, you've heard me say this, I'm like a broken record with this, is what I call the brand strategy pyramid. And basically, when I look at the brand strategy pyramid, what my intention behind it when I created it is that you understand that your business isn't all these little things that are like, one thing is over here and one thing is over there, but I want you to look at your business as a whole, where every little part of your brand, of your business, of your marketing, everything is done with intention, where one thing is building up to the next thing, which is building up to the next thing, which ends up building that little pyramid, right? And at the bottom of that pyramid is the brand foundation. And what we're going to be doing in the next few days is we're going to uncover exactly what each of these steps, like each of these, what do we call them? Like steps of the pyramid, I guess. Like of these layers or whatever, right? Like what they are. And we're going to get into detail into how to define what they are for you. What are the things to consider, etc. But just kind of to give you guys an overview, at the base of that pyramid is the foundation. And when we talk about foundation, what I mean by it is basically who you are and what your message is all about. Going back to what I was saying just a moment ago, it's really, really important that you understand who you are, what your message is about, and what makes you different, right? Like, what makes me different? What is that thing that, because there's so much competition, that when people look at you, they're going to say, I need to work with Chelsea. I need to work with Serva. I need to work with Marianne. I need to work with this person. Despite the fact that there's all these competition, there's all these people with more experience, more case studies, more of whatever, I still need to work with Serva because she is the person I resonate with the most. So when we look at that foundation, it really comes down to really understanding what that core message is and what those differences in who you are. The second part of the brand strategy pyramid is what I call your signature offer. And the signature offer can be many, many things. It can be your framework. It can be whatever you're selling, whether it's a course, a program, a done-for-you service, a workshop, online coaching, group coaching, one-on-one coaching, whatever it is that you're selling. But for you to be able to define or create a really powerful signature course or signature offer that sells, obviously you need to understand who your audience is and how to position yourself as a solution for that audience. So again, it really builds upon that that first layer, right? Because if I'm clear on who I am and what makes me different, well then I know that how can I offer whatever I'm selling in a way that gets them to see that this is different from what everybody else is selling out there. When we move to the next layer is is the marketing strategy. And when I talk about marketing strategy, is essentially your funnel. How are you going to get people in your funnel to opt in to buy your offer? Because what's not very typical in today's world is just where you're like, hey, buy from me, see ya. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really how it works anymore because of the fact that there's so much competition, right? And there's so much information available. You have to be able to position what you're offering as the best option, as a solution. So for you to be able to do that, there has to be a marketing strategy behind the scenes created that's going to really do a good job of driving people into your signature offer. And then at the top of that pyramid is what I call the visibility plan. And what I mean with visibility plan is really essentially getting traffic, getting in front of your audience, building that tribe, building those people that eventually you're going to take into your marketing strategy or your funnel, who are going to end up buying your signature course, who is cemented on your unique self, your brand foundation, who you are. And then surrounding all of this, finally, is the visual brand, the brand identity, the thing that most of people think when they hear branding. So imagine how short you fall if you think that branding is only about the cute logo or the design or the website or all that, when there's all of these other little pieces involved in you building your brand strategy, right? This is where it's at. This is really the most important place. So this is kind of where we started with the free email course. Again, if you want to sign up, you're going to go to fabipaolini.com/course to be able to sign up for it. Every single day, you're going to get an email with something else around what branding is. And we're kind of just going to drive you through the whole process, and it's going to be amazing. And it's going to finish with the live workshop or implementation class that's going to be happening next Wednesday, December 11th. So just so you guys know, so I just kind of wanted to come in here and tell you a little bit about what's going on in day one of the course, so that you kind of get an understanding of that general overview of what branding is and why it's important. I can tell you from my own personal experience that branding has been truly transformational for my own business, and obviously for my clients, and a few of you are here, and you guys are a testament of that as well, right? But just what a difference it makes in your business when you have a very clear and compelling message that connects with your audience, versus you just saying things and hoping that people kind of understand what your value is. What happens a lot is that you don't have the clarity. You don't have or maybe you do have clarity, but you have a really hard time finding the right words that are going to sell. So what happens is that you end up generating confusion in yourself and therefore in your audience. If you're having a really hard time explaining who you are, what you do, and how you help people, you're going to lose people along the way. So I can tell you from my experience, that's what happened at the beginning. I spent so much money, so much time, so much effort, so much implementation, doing all these things and trying all these courses and going back and forth and doing this and doing that and not getting any results. And I was frustrated. And it really took me to sit down and created this concept of the brand strategy pyramid for me to understand that it really wasn't about marketing, right? Sometimes we're always going in. Look at this. Chelsea says, I was talking with a Facebook ads coach and she was floored with how much clarity I had on my ideal clients. It's all thanks to you. I mean, Chelsea, you did such a great job with that. And Chelsea's one of my students from Breakthrough Brand, one of my courses. And that's part of the reason, right? We want to get really clear on that. And we'll talk about audience, I think tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, or on Wednesday. But anyways, the point is that a lot of times people go straight into marketing, right? They're like, let me just spend money on Facebook, and we go into the math aspect, right? Like you know, now that Chelsea's talking about Facebook ads, you're going into math. Well, if it's a 1% conversion rate, because that's what people say, that it's a 1% conversion rate, it means like that's obviously what my conversion rate is going to be. But the truth is that that's not how it works. Not necessarily, not when you don't have a really good message. And I know this from experience. If you've been following me for a while, you know that one of my top things to do has been a webinar. Like, I am a queen at webinars, but I wasn't always a queen at webinars. I was really bad at them at first. And the reason why I was really bad at them was because I did not have clarity in my message. I didn't understand what my audience wanted. I didn't understand how to communicate. I didn't know how to show my value. I didn't know how to show what I was good at. And it was just really difficult for me to make a connection. So my ads weren't converting, my calls weren't converting, my systems, my sales funnels, my strategies, they weren't working. So for you to be able to get results in your marketing, you really need to get clear on your branding first, your brand message, your brand strategy, all of these things, looking at them as a whole and not just as like, oh, let me just hire a Facebook ad. So for example, using Chelsea as an example, she's saying, anyways, she's talking about how she's hiring somebody to do or talk with somebody that's a Facebook ads coach, and how she has a lot of clarity on her audience because of the work that we did together in Breakthrough Brand. Now, the thing is around Chelsea and with everybody else is that when you are doing your business kind of like with everything separate, right? Like if she was going to hire this Facebook ads person and had no clue about her audience, and this person, maybe a lot of these Facebook ads coaches, they give you some sort of simple structure to get you to understand your audience. But if you don't have a lot of clarity around these things on your own, you're kind of just shooting arrows, right? Like, well, let me try this. And shooting arrows is literally shooting dollar bills, right? Like, let me try this, let me try that, and spending so much money, wasting so much money, instead of being able to be more efficient with it. And therefore, if she didn't have that clarity on her audience, what's going to happen is that if she's spending money on Facebook ads, and by the way, we also did like Facebook ads within my own program, but obviously you always want to get things to the next level. But if she didn't have that clarity, what's going to happen is that she's going to just spend a lot of money without getting any results. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing it very intentionally. When you're thinking about your brand, it's not just, let me create this cute little logo, or let me maybe like do some generic message. You really have to nail your message. You really have to understand who you are, who your audience is, what their problem is, and how you can solve that problem. And more important than that is how to communicate this in an effective way, because otherwise your efforts are going to be wasted. And what's going to happen, if it's not happening already, is that there's going to be a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety, starting each month at zero. Like literally starting each month at zero. We're at December 2nd right now, and I'm already at $15,000 this month. This is what's normal, and this is what should be normal for you as well, right? Because you really want to make sure that where you're at is at a place where you don't have to deal with that. I mean, listen, let's be honest here. Everybody in business, you're always going to be dealing with anxiety in one way or another. Like, it's normal. Having problems is normal. That's part of growth. But what you don't want is to be like, I'm putting all this money, I'm putting all this effort, I'm putting all this time, all these things that I'm doing, I'm buying all these courses and programs, and I'm not getting results. Because the truth is that if you're not getting results, it is very likely that it's not necessarily because you bought like a webinar course or a challenge or a Facebook ads program or something that was bad. What is not right is at the core. Your message, your offer, your language, your differentiation. If you're not doing a good job of doing these things first, anything, like all these things that you try, it's not that they're all never gonna work, but they're not gonna be consistent. And we all want consistency. I want consistency, like 100%. That is what I thrive for in my business every single day. Like I literally work to build consistency in my business and keep on growing and growing and growing. But it always comes back to having like that pyramid in place in a way that gives you results. So anyways, that is it for today. Let me know in the comments if this resonated with you, what your vision of what branding was and what it is now, and how you're doing with it. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about what makes you unique. We'll talk about the brand foundation. I'll have you guys do a quiz to find out what your brand personality type is, and a whole bunch of other things which are going to be a lot of fun. And then I can't wait to see you guys live on Wednesday next week, where I'm going to go super deep into talking about how to create a compelling brand message in 2020, building an unshakable brand that really sells and gets results. So I can't wait to see you guys there. Ta-da!